Hi again, people. Welcome back as always here. In this video I'm going to discuss a specific aspect and a very important one at that in relation to divinatory readings. So when you use a divinatory reading, such as a reading technique such as astrology or tarot card readings, these are the most common ones. These are also the ones that I use by default. If you want to know about it in detail, then check the link in the description below, as well as wait for the end screen. I have an old article. By old I mean I think from 2018 or 17. Yeah, and as time passed, I added more material to it, or I edited it and updated it. But the article stems from 2017 as far as I know. Correct me if I'm wrong, or I'm not entirely sure. In any case, I think it's around then. If not, then that's not the case. End of story. But yeah, my point is, the name of the article is The Importance of Astrology and Tarot in the Occult. And like I said, this video is going to be an aspect of it, primarily for people that are already more than proficient in doing divinatory readings. Of course, there are others. There are other methods such as working with runes and whatnot. And numerology is also present. But like I said, I'm not going to discuss those. The most common and most practical are astrology and tarot card reading based on my knowledge and experience, hence me also using them. Astrology is for highly elaborate questions where you want to know everything involved in the way of all the factors involved, all the elements and conditions involved, all of that, okay? And tarot card readings are the exact opposite. That's why I use them in conjunction. I use them both if I want. Sometimes it's not necessary, but generally speaking, I use both. Astrology overcomplicates things almost, and tarot card reading oversimplifies things almost. Tarot card readings are handy or are suited when you simply want a black and white answer, as in yes or no, etc. You don't need anything elaborate, because tarot card astrology will sometimes be so elaborate to the point where it indicates things that aren't even relevant to your inquiry. Whereas with tarot card readings, if you want to know slightly detailed information, then yeah, you don't consult tarot card readings. Tarot card readings are only for black and white questions, as in yes, and yes. End of story. Now, one very important thing that people overlook is that tarot card readings, divinatory readings as a whole. I don't know what the hell's wrong with me. Nothing's wrong with me, but so to speak. Divinatory readings as a whole, like the ones I mentioned, are subject to one very important factor that you need to keep in mind. So if you're someone that makes use of readings, divinatory readings, for whatever purpose, whether it's for daily life or whether it's for your occult practice, if you're a practitioner, etc., like me, then you need to keep in mind that a very important condition and or subject is your own personality. You can check the link, you can check the end screen as well for that. I already did a video on that recently, called the 3 main personalities and all the things you need to keep in mind. But aside from that, the whole point of this video is that you're not supposed to overdo it, and that's specifically what I'm getting at. When you cast a reading, by default, you need to deal with the cooldown method, okay? So you can't just cast readings willy-nilly and back to back. Nah. So I'm just going to come out and just outright say it. For tarot card readings, for example, you can't cast 20 tarot card readings back to back. What's going to happen is that your inquiry is going to be so spiritually saturated that you simply will not be able to tell left from right anymore. You won't be able to see the forest through the hypothetical trees. And the reading will not make sense anymore. It's like it lost its potency because you overdid it. And knowing this requires extensive knowledge of the method of divination that you use, whether it's scrying in a crystal ball, whether it's overall scrying, it does not matter. But the point is, in order to assess exactly how far you can go and what you need to take into account in the way of a cooldown method, is dependent on your skill and how experienced you are in whatever divinatory method you use. For example, based on everything I've said, I know that for astrology by default, you need to take a cooldown of at least 3 to 4 hours into account. Let's just say an absolute minimum of 2 to 3 hours. So if you cast a reading at 7 a.m. because you wanted to know something, but you have multiple questions. For example, I want to know if it's okay to move in a house that I saw down the street because I saw that the house is being put up for sale and I can afford it. But you have multiple questions, as in, I also want to know if I should, if I saw a nice weight loss plan and I'm seriously intending on losing weight, but I want to know if the weight loss plan, after looking around, that's the best I could come up with. If that weight loss plan will actually provide me with the desired results, will I actually lose the weight that I have in mind, and will that weight loss plan actually help me adequately the way I envision it being so? Of course you won't be able to cast these two questions back to back. That's my point. Astrology is the most complicated and the best method in terms of divination. Based on my knowledge and experience, astrology is number one, period. Factually, number one. But the drawback is that it is heavy, ridiculously heavy. It weighs a ton spiritually. So if you cast a reading, or you cast a chart, an astrological chart, and you did a reading simply, and you simply made an inquiry, the first inquiry, like in the example I gave about the house that you saw down the street that you wanted to buy, and you're seeing all the factors involved, etc. You won't be able to immediately afterwards say, okay, and now I want to know about the weight loss plan. No. You need to take a cooldown method into account. You simply need to leave it be. Just clear your head, go about your day, and later on, when your senses tell you that it's okay to cast another chart, to do another reading, then you can do another reading. And that's essentially it. If you have a multitude of questions, for example, you've got a dozen questions lined up, the best thing to do would be to do one reading a day. You can do 2 readings a day, but no, I wouldn't recommend it. Okay, by default, if you're not experienced enough, by default, general guidelines, the general guidelines that I'm giving people here are that you need to, the best thing to do is that you can cast 1 reading a day. You have a list of questions you made up, everything you would like to know, do it once a day when your senses tell you to. I'm an experienced practitioner, to say the least, obviously. So with me, if I want to cast a reading, or if I want to cast a chart and or do a reading, an astrological reading obviously, then my intuition tells me when I can do so and when I can't do so. And I have the insightfulness, I possess the insightfulness required to actually, not that it ever happens, but hypothetically speaking, even if I were to cast a chart too soon, and I wasn't in the right state of mind or frame of mind to do so, I didn't take the whole cooldown factor into effect, I have the insightfulness to actually realize that the reading makes no sense, so I cast it too early. But generally speaking, like I said, I don't do that. If I cast a chart, I do a reading, boop, I'm done. I simply go about my day, etc., 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 and my intuition simply tells me that it could be at any random moment, but bottom line is it will be at a time where it is safe and okay to cast a new reading, to cast a new chart. For example, I did a reading at 2 p.m. I simply go about my day. I take a nap, you name it, I do whatever the hell I do on a daily basis, so to speak. And then all of a sudden at 9 p.m. my intuition will tell me, hey, I need to cast that chart for the weight loss plan as well. There you go. My intuition automatically tells me to do so, because understand that all divinatory readings by default are dependent and or reliant upon your state of mind, your spiritual state of mind. They're linked to your astral body, because your thingy, regardless of which divinatory method you use, it simply essentially links up with your spiritual state of mind. Again, your astral body, literally. It links up with your astral body, and based on that, it gives you an overview of the situation as things stand, and you being a factor within that situation as a whole. Of course, you're the inquirer, literally, so you make a part of it. That's why it's not a system where you don't come into play. It's not a system where you can just say it doesn't matter what the hell I do or what the hell I think. No. It's not independent from you. Okay, the driving factor is you as the inquirer. You're inquiring about something. So that's what it's dependent on. So you need to keep all of that in mind. And those are the general guidelines for astrology. Like I said, astrology, the benefit is it's almost excessively complicated. It shows you everything, okay? Almost everything that you can ask for, divination-wise or divinatory reading-wise. But the drawback is that it requires a substantial cooldown. You can't ask questions back to back. You do one question and then you're pretty much done for the day in general. Tomorrow you can ask another question, etc., another question. As long as you don't obsess over it. You're not supposed to obsess over it. You just leave things be. And then tomorrow, when all of a sudden it reminds you, or you place a reminder for yourself, like just an alarm or similar, as in, hey, I'm supposed to cast that chart. Then the second you'll see it, then your senses will tell you, yeah, it's fine. You're good to go. You've got the green light. You're in the correct state of mind. The cooldown has been taken into effect. Whereas with tarot card readings, it's the exact opposite. Tarot card readings are oversimplified, like I said. It's purely for black and white questions, as in, it's like almost like a magic 8-ball, but a magic 8-ball is for a gag, of course. Of course, it could also be turned into or tweaked into a legitimate technique, occult technique, but I'm not going to get into that. It's just an example. I repeat, I'm not going to get into that. It's just an example. Yeah, the tarot card readings, they're oversimplified. Okay, you literally just want to know a simple question, as in, hey, should I go to this party or not? And the tarot card reading will tell you, because it's not necessary to do an elaborate reading for something that simple and superficial. You had a party invite and you want to know if it's a good idea to go to that party or not. The tarot card readings will give you a general insight, as in, hey, yes or no. Whether you're going to enjoy yourself, whether you're not going to enjoy yourself, like, nah, okay. Either yes or no. So that's that. The drawback, though, the benefit is, I thought I mentioned the benefit. The benefit of tarot card readings, aside from what I said, is also that it's flexible, it's very mobile, as in you can do multiple tarot card readings. The drawback is, and here it comes, other than what I said, oversimplified, is that you're in danger, especially if you're someone that's used to asking a lot of questions, you're in danger of overindulgence. You're in danger of overindulging yourself, and as a result becoming oversaturated. So the same concept applies here. With tarot card readings, you can cast multiple readings back to back, but no more in general, as a general guideline, no more than 2 or 3. It all depends on the individual, but let's just say, to play it safe, 2. So you've got your 2 questions, yeah, fine. You want to inquire about the weight loss plan? Sure, no problem. Boom, weight loss plan, tarot card reading. And you wanted to know about the house? You could do it back to back. Okay, now the house, bam, you can do it. But no more than that. Another benefit is that the cooldown time is obviously a lot faster and smoother and lesser. So after like 6 hours, between 6 and 12 hours, you can easily cast another 2 tarot card readings. You can do another 2 tarot card readings, and it just goes on and on and on. But those are the things that you need to keep in mind, general guidelines in relation to divinatory techniques and or methods. So to reiterate, okay, to summarize, in summation, for astrology, for casting astrological charts, so doing astrological readings, only one question in general, and only one question a day in general. Just to play it safe, 1 question a day. You make your inquiry, you cast your chart, you do your reading, you're done. tomorrow the different question that you had in mind, if you had any other questions. And like I said, with astrology, it's highly detailed, but it's heavy. That's the drawback. With tarot card readings, you can cast 2 tarot card readings. You can do 2 readings. Essentially every 6 to 12 hours. So let's just say in one day you can do 4 readings. If you had that many questions, you simply do 2 readings and then you take a breather. For example, you did 2 readings in the afternoon and then you can do 2 readings again at night. For example, if there's an 8 or 9 hour time difference. You just go about your day after casting the initial 2 and you get to it after the specified time period. The benefit is that it's so fast and mobile. The drawback is that it is simplified. It's only good for black and white questions in general. And like I said, the danger of overindulgence being present. It's like you're shaking a magic 8 ball, okay? You can easily fall into the trap of casting tarot card reading after tarot card reading. No, don't do so. Because at a certain point, regardless of which divinatory technique you use, if you keep doing that, then you're going to see that it does not make sense. Your reading will not make sense anymore, or your readings, plural, will not make sense anymore. This is just something that you need to keep in mind because this is really important. Regardless of what type of personality you have, referring to the video that I was again referring to earlier, regardless of the type of video the type of personality you have, whether you have a cardinal personality like me, you have a fixed or a mutable personality. So you're either stable or adaptive or prone to or highly adaptable. I mean, that's what mutable means, by the way. Again, if you don't know what I'm referring to, just wait for the end screen of this video and watch the video of the 3 personalities and you'll know what I'm referring to. But my point is, regardless of which personality you have, these are things that you need to keep in mind. Like I said, these are general guidelines. And since these are the only two divinatory techniques I use, I can't say anything about any other divinatory techniques, honestly. But this is simply a general guideline. You simply need to, or these are general guidelines. You simply need to keep everything I said in mind, of course, and you need to have enough knowledge and experience in relation to your divinatory technique. So if you use something else that I haven't mentioned, it's not astrology, and it's not tarot cards, it's not astrology or tarot, then it's something that's relatively either unknown or you name it, something else in any case. Then you simply need to gauge everything based on what I said, how well you, and based on your technique, how well do you know the system, how long if you work with it, etc. Briefly put it through a trial, if you will. If you're noticing that your readings don't make sense if you do it back to back, then yeah, then that means that you went too far, to put it that way. You did 1 reading or 2 readings too many. But the thing is, when you use these divinatory techniques, you're also going to notice that it takes a toll on you mentally. Okay, if you really cast it well, it's like advanced math. You need to solve some kind of math problem, and it's really highly elaborate to the point where you have difficulty coping with it, and it takes a toll on you to the point where you'll go like, you can feel the mental strain being exerted upon you, the mental pressure being exerted upon you. You can feel the strain, and you need to be wary of that. Okay, with astrology, for example, you'll notice it, but that's why I said astrology is heavy. Whereas with tarot card readings, yeah, it's more fast and fluid. For people that are already knowledgeable on the occult, you can almost compare it to Western ceremonial magic, the heaviest of magic, so to speak, and literally as well as figuratively, not just so to speak, and necromancy. Necromancy, as a sorcerer myself, I can tell you right now, communicating with the dead is substantially easier. It does not nearly take a toll on you compared to Western ceremonial magic. But, at a basic level, it's obvious why that's the case, because in Western ceremonial magic, you work with the highest of spirits. You work with angels, demons, etc. You work with spirits that are ridiculously strong. You're working with non-human entities, non-humane entities, you name it. Whereas with necromancy, you're working with the dead, and the dead on the spiritual existential scale are not as high as you, not nearly as high as you might think. So hence it being a lot easier to communicate with the dead or to work with them overall. You can compare it because this is similar to that, okay? Astrology versus tarot card readings. But of course, it's not all about power. That's also what I've said. This applies to both magic and the occult, as well as the divinatory readings that I discussed. That's why I combined them. Although I have no intentions to work with the dead whatsoever. I've already done that in the past, been there, done that. No. But my point is, it's about practical application. Sometimes it's not necessary if for a simple answer, if you need a simple answer, a simple black and white answer, it's not necessary to consult something like astrology. It's not necessary, it's impractical. It's like trying to crush an egg with a bulldozer instead of just using a spoon or any kind of cutlery made up of hard material like wood or steel, whatever. My point. Whereas it's easier. If you simply want a black and white answer, then you simply use a simplistic divinatory technique like tarot card readings. But if you really want to know everything involved, something really elaborate, blah, 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 then yeah, that's what you need to keep in mind. Other than that, something that just came to mind is another thing, is that the mistake that people also make is to think that divinatory readings will give you information of a material nature, such as names and this and that involved. No. I'm telling you that right now. Again, no. I repeat, no. That's a big no. Because that's not how it works. That's not how divinatory readings work. A divinatory reading, if you, for example, make an inquiry about whether you think it's a good idea to work with a business partner, then no reading will give you names, and or unless you're scrying, for example, advanced scrying, and you're specifically asking for stuff like names and whatnot, even then it might not be correct based on your level of proficiency. The message simply isn't getting through properly or not coming through properly due to your lack of skill or your lack of proficiency, or simply because you lack the energy and based on the magnitude of what you're asking. So you're equivalent to asking to win the lottery with just general occult techniques, which is not far-fetched, but it is excessively complicated. It's not something that you can just pull out of thin air, so to speak, even as a magician. Yeah, so no reading in general, like the ones I discussed, will give you a name or will give you anything along those lines. Because these things are material attributes. They don't matter from a spiritual vantage point and or perspective. These are all material attributes. So if you, for example, have a question, hey, I have a business partner, I want to know if it's a good idea to work with him, or does he have something up his sleeve, or will working with him in the long run benefit me, or is it going to be the opposite? The reading will not, in no reading that you'll do, will indicate his name and the names of any other parties involved, or the company that you two either intend on setting up together, or likewise. No, that's not how readings work. A reading simply refers to you as an individual and any other individual in relation to your inquiry, if applicable, and all the other circumstances involved. So for example, for something like that, it's a detailed question, a detailed inquiry. You cast an astrological reading. You cast a chart, and the chart will simply show your state of mind and the things that you've got going on in your life overall. And like I said, it's very complicated, very complex. That's the beauty of it. Even things that aren't relevant to your question. For example, if you have been feeling under the weather lately, it's also going to indicate that. You name it. It's going to show your business partner, his state of mind, all the stuff he's got going on in his life. And you're going to see what his intentions towards you are in your business transaction, his motives, his or her motives, if there are any other parties involved. So for example, if your business partner has the intentions of screwing you over, so to speak, of deceiving you by using a third party, for example, like a woman that he or she has partnered with, just a third party overall, then the reading will indicate that. The reading will even indicate the general intentions of the third party and all the factors involved in the whole affair. from the third party's vantage point. But no names or anything like that, as in, hey, no. At best, general information. For example, if the person is of a foreign nature, as in it's not someone domestic or someone local, it's like a foreigner, someone from a different country, stuff like that. But you really need to know how to read charts at a highly advanced level to be able to see stuff like that. But the point in case is no reading in general will indicate anything of a material nature, because the spirit world isn't based around the material, obviously. I've already discussed this in a different video called Intent Matters. But it's all about intent, as in your name is not my name in this lifetime materially is Moreno Ravenberg. Okay, that doesn't mean that my spiritual name is Moreno Ravenberg. My soul has no name. It has a divine name, but it's definitely not Moreno Ravenberg, obviously. That's my point. My name is just that. It's a physical namesake given to me. It's a physical attribute given to me so that society can identify me and address me accordingly based on my name. But it has no spiritual relevancy. Not in the context as I discussed it. Not in the context of the subject matter of this question. That's for sure. So yeah, that's it. If you've got any other questions, then I'll hear it as always. Bye.